Alright guys, well welcome back to part 3 of the DIY 7-string kit build. Pretty happy that we got to this point. This is going to be the final video and the reveal at the end of this video, so make sure you stick around till the end. But basically we're going to do some finishing up work. Unfortunately some footage was lost in the process as far as like putting the finish on the body, like clear coat wise, and then the whole process of mounting the new bridge and figuring all that out. Not a huge deal. I will kind of talk about it and walk you through what I did. But as you can see here, I wanted to etch out the grain. What's awesome about swamp ash is it has that nice coarse grain, so I really wanted to etch it out, and I used my Dremel tool with a little wire brush. Took a little while, but we got it done, and then I threw it in the sandblaster to make it more uniform, and I loved the way it looked. As far as color for the sides and back, I was kind of tossed up. I didn't know if I wanted to leave it, the same color as I was going to do on the front. But I decided to use this antique gray, brownish gray stain. It came in like this bingo dabber thing. I honestly should have just bought the pint. This thing kind of was a pain in the butt to use. But we made it work. And as you can see, it looks good. It kind of has like a rustic antique look to it. And I did that on the back and the sides. It did bleed onto the front a little bit, but I wasn't really worried about it because we were able to sand it out carefully without sanding through the veneer. And I was going to do, a color burst around the front anyway, so it would have covered it. But we were able to, get the sides and the back stained. It looks great. As you can see here, I, sanded the edges to get that bleed through off. And it came off with no problem. No, the veneer on this kit is actually a little bit thicker than some other veneers I've seen, so we didn't have any problem sanding through it or anything. And then I wanted to make this flame on the front pop, so I didn't want to change the color of the wood too much, maybe tinting it up a little bit. But we used just a regular oil-based stain from Home Depot, and I believe it was called Golden Pecan or Pecan, and it really made the flame pop. One thing that drove me nuts is the orientation that they put the two pieces of veneer on. Depending on how you look at the guitar, only one side of the flame veneer is shows. It kind of just it's a weird illusion thing. Like on this angle you can see both sides, but depending how you look at it, it's kind of just, it's hard to explain. Like you can see here the right side, you can see the flaming more than the left side, but it is what it is. It still looks good. Then we moved on to the part I was kind of most excited about, and that was airbrushing. I haven't airbrushed in quite a while. I think the last time I used my airbrush you guys saw, which was in the NK Headless Project series. When I did the red burst around the body, that was literally the last time I used my airbrush. I specifically bought this airbrush from Harbor Freight to do that. So I figured, why not break it out? I wanted to put a thin burst going around the edge of the body. I didn't want it to be like a big fat traditional burst, so I just did a thin line. Kind of tossed up a few different colors in my head, and we decided to go with like a teal blue or light blue. I think it looks really, really good. And it was just a matter of having a steady hand. So I did little sections at a time and, kind of just fattened it up along the way as I went on. And it took a little while, but we got it done, and I'm super happy with the results, honestly. I think it looks really, really good, especially the finished product. I was using minimal pressure, just opening the valve on the airbrush just slightly, just to get just enough out so I had more control. And I didn't want to, I didn't want to have one little mishap and then it would kind of mess everything up. So honestly, everything went really well. I was a little nervous to do it just because it's been such a long time. But I still got somewhat of my steady hand. And as you can see, it came out really, really good. It's pretty uniform going all the way around. When you get into the, the arm carve part, it does fatten up, but it looks kind of good that way. I think it looks cool. But you can see here, it turned out great. I was really happy with it. I taped off the sides so we would get no overspray. But really happy with the results. It was really fun to finally do some airbrushing. And then one thing I wanted to do was match the headstock with the body. It did not come with a veneer like the body did. It's just raw maple, kind of like the just piece of wood that they made the neck out of. So I wanted to go ahead and throw a veneer on there. So I ordered a small piece of flame maple veneer from Amazon and decided to go ahead and break out my veneer glue that we used for the headless project. And we glued a piece of veneer on. I'm really happy with it. Let it dry for, I'd say, 2 hours. Then I, cut the final shape out. As you can see, I left the piece a little bit bigger and glued it on that way, but we cut it out and then sanded it to blend everything in. And then I had to drill the holes for the tuning keys. And yeah, honestly, it came out perfect. There was not one bubble or wrinkle or anything. It looks pretty much factory, or I should say it looks factory, not even pretty much. You can see it looks great. The flaming on this veneer is a little bit fatter than the flaming on the body, but once we got it stained to match the body and put the burst around the headstock, honestly, you can't even tell. It looks great. It honestly looks like it came that way through the same stain that I used on the body on the headstock. I was super happy that the hole was not drilled for the truss rod cover because I decided to just paint that little cavity black and leave the truss rod cover off. I think it kind of just looks more high end in my opinion. But really happy with the fact that I decided to do that whole veneer thing on the headstock. I think it was like $17 for the piece. And then we did the same burst around the edge of the headstock that we did on the body. I was a little nervous. I thought that I had made it a little bit fatter than I did on the body, but when I put them side to side, it's pretty much identical. So it came out really good. No complaints at all. I was honestly tossed up. I didn't know if I wanted to put a burst around the neck, but I honestly just decided to do it. I loaded a picture of the whole guitar onto my phone and did some like paintbrush editing and put a little burst around it, and it looked really good. So decided to do it. Came out good. It was a chance to use the airbrush again, and I'm just using regular automotive spray paint. I just sprayed it into the cap of the spray paint can and then poured it into my little jar for the airbrush. And then it came time to assemble. So as far as mounting the bridge, the guitar came with the Tune-o-matic bridge. I'll talk about the quality of everything a little later in the video, but I just decided to scrap that bridge, and I really wanted to use something a little bit better quality. So I went with the Ibanez Hipshot, or it's the Hipshot IBI HM bridge. It's kind of, as you can see here, it's a little bit bigger, and the reason I went with that bridge is because it covered all the holes from the Tune-o-matic bridge. I didn't have to plug anything. It covered all of them. I did have to drill new holes for the string through part, and then, I ended up just putting screws in the old holes for now. I will plug them eventually. I kind of decided to do the whole bridge thing after I did a lot of the finishing work, so I didn't want to go plugging it and have to blend stuff in. It just would have been a pain in the butt. But really happy I decided to use that bridge. The process was a little difficult. You had to get your center line and your, measure out your scale length and just make sure everything was lined up and your strings were even on the edges of the fretboard. I have a buddy who kind of walked me through it because I've never put a bridge on from scratch. I've, updated bridges before, but it was mostly the same style bridge, so everything kind of just went in the original holes. But he helped me a little bit, and his knowledge, really was the deciding factor in how good this thing came out. But I was really happy with it. As far as the fretwork on this guitar, it came pretty dang good, I have to say. The edges were a little sharp, it's kind of in a raw form, but we dressed up the edges. I did a little bit of a fret leveling and then polished them out. And the frets, came out really, really good at the end. They were pretty dang close from the factory, so that's really good. It was something I was worried about, how good was the fretwork going to be, but it's to be expected that you're going to have to do a little bit of work. But I'm putting in the ferrules in the new holes. You can see the old holes there still. Since this video, I've just put some screws in there for now. I'll probably come up with something a little later on. String wise, I use, I think, 10 through 60 Dunlops. It's just what I had at the time. And you'll see I put a little 619 logo with my Cricut cutter that I have. Just made a little logo, stuck it on, and then finished over it. I decided to use a satin finish on the whole guitar, except the back of the neck. I used a tung oil finish. So I was really happy with that. I sprayed the finish on, did some level sanding, and then used some Scotch-Brite to kind of satin it up again and make it uniform. You can't see any scratch marks or anything. It actually came out really, really good. I just wanted to get rid of like the whole orange peel look. And the method I used it really worked. I'm really happy with the result of the finish on this guitar. But unfortunately, we lost the footage. So let's go ahead and we're going to jump into the clip where the guitar is done, and I'll talk to you guys a little bit more about my final thoughts on this thing. All right, so you've heard this guitar in a full demo mix. Real quick, we're just going to do a little high gain sound demo. You've heard these Duncan Solar pickups in a ton of other guitars on my channel, so there's really no need to get crazy, but I figured we'll do a little high gain demo, no clean or anything. We will go through all three different pickup positions, starting at the bridge pickup. Alright guys, so I figured I'd jump in here at the end of the video. I'll try to keep it short and sweet, just so this video is, I mean, it's already way too long. But I just wanted to, kind of give you my overall opinion on this kit. Now, it did take a long time, which has nothing to do with the kit itself. It's more so just my work schedule and being able to only work on it little by little. But we finally got it done. I wrapped this project up in 3 episodes, which is awesome. I did lose some footage along the way, but I made it work as best as I could. But we got it done. Now overall, really happy with the quality of everything. The woods that come with the kit, the neck, the fretboard, everything, the body, all that is awesome. The flame maple veneer looks great. Everything is really, really good, I should say. Some of it took a little bit of finessing, just, the frets weren't exactly perfect. I had to, level them a little bit and just do your fret ends and polish them, but all that's expected. My biggest complaint, I should say, is with the hardware. I kind of knew going in that this hardware wasn't going to be the best. I mean, it's a low-priced DIY kit, so I knew you're not going to get the best of hardware. But when it came to the bridge, I'm not sure if I got a dud or whatnot. The bridge, in my opinion, it would have been usable, but man, it would have been pretty wonky. Just the saddles were really, really loose. I didn't even bother contacting anyone because, I mean, I think it is what it is. That hardware is not the best quality. I understand why they use the hardware they do, but I wanted to put a bridge on it that was a little bit more better quality and just would look better and work better. So I ended up going with this Hipshot IBI HM bridge just for the size, mostly just because it covers all the holes and everything that were there. I didn't decide to change the bridge until later on when a lot of things were already done. So I didn't want to, go plug in the holes and having to sand and refinish and everything like that. So this bridge covered up almost everything. There is a little bit of the string through holes sticking out the back, but you can barely see them. But it looks great, but it definitely took a lot of work to get this bridge to work. With the Tune-o-matic style bridge, it's a little bit higher and the neck angle is a little bit more raked back. So we had to bring the neck more straight. And it's basically, I'd say, parallel and perfectly flat with the top of the body. This is a lot more of a low-profile bridge, but I didn't want my saddles to have to be, super cranked up high, and I just wanted everything to be the way it should be. So I did have to shim the neck a little bit. I, worked on the neck pocket and the neck joint just to get it to where it needs to be. Did take a lot of work, and it took a lot of measuring twice and drilling once, and you make your center line and your scale length line and everything else, and just making sure your strings are even on the edges of the fretboard. And it turned out great. Like I mentioned, I had a buddy kind of double check my work and walk me through a little bit. And I'm really, really happy with how it came out. Honestly, this thing plays really, really good. I was completely blown away when it was done and set up. I was like, wow, this thing plays just as good, if not better, than my Solar 7-string. And it sounds great. I ended up using these Duncan Solar pickups that I had laying around. I wanted to put, maybe, Fishmans or EMGs in it. But that brings me to my next complaint. These cavities, they just aren't working for me. I would rather just your one big single cavity like any other normal guitar. That way you can put a battery in there or whatever. There's just no room. You have these little dinky cavities, and you have your potentiometer in one and your switch in the other. Now I used all the stock wiring and output jack and all that. That's all stock. I did have to extend the wiring a little bit just because of how you have to route it. I could have probably made my own drill routes for the wires, but I didn't have one of them gigantuous drill bits. So we, made it work with what was there. And yeah, not a huge deal, but I would love to see them maybe change it so you have one single cavity. I'm not sure how it is on other models, but for this particular model, it would be way better if they had one big cavity. That way I can throw a tone knob in, or a kill switch, or mini toggles, or you know, a 9-volt battery, anything. Now I could, you know, route out a square for a battery box, but it's really not even worth it at this point. I'm actually really happy with the way this thing sounds. I love the way Duncan Solars sound. I've never had a problem with them. Some people hate on them, but I actually love them. Overall, super happy with this project. It came out way better than I thought it would. And I definitely think I want to build another one, probably a 6-string, see what they have. And yeah, everyone from that company seems super cool. They got the kit to me really, really quick. And I have zero complaints about, you know, this company pretty much at all. There's, like I said, the hardware thing is to be expected. I knew I wasn't going to get the best quality hardware. And then just with the cavity, that's really my two biggest complaints. I would love to update and upgrade the nut and maybe the tuners. The tuners work, but they could definitely benefit from some locking tuners. But other than that, this thing is awesome. But I just wanted to give you my quick opinion here. I know this project took a long time, but it's finally over. We can move on to the next one. And had a lot of fun doing it. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Stay safe. Be a good person. Definitely go buy a DIY kit from Guitar Kit World. And we'll see you in the next video.